Well, the summer break has come and gone, and drop round season is often in the autumn. We now find ourselves at the crunch period of this season. 3 races remain in club and 3 races remain in the MX5 World Sim Series. We start tonight's action here in Germany at the Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. This is a circuit where these drivers have to be on their toes. It is technical to the gills, and they will be hoping that they can put their best results forward to say that the top 10 can book their place at the World Series final at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel and the 8th round of action that we have been able to bring to you over the course of this year. My name's Jake Sperry, and alongside me for today's action is going to be Mike Naus. Daniel Costello is in the director's chair. He's using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But as we start tonight with the club series here at Oschersleben, this is the one circuit where once, if you got a certain type of corner, you're taken to a dark room and beat about the head. We're not here with John Clellan for one reason. We're here with some great sim racing action. Let's understand this track with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. About 2 hours west of Berlin, it hailed in a more modern era of racetracks for the country when it opened in 1997. But perhaps one of the most surprising statistics about this place is it's only the 4th permanent racing facility to open in Germany. With 4 layouts to choose from, ranging between 1 and 3.5 kilometers, it's very well suited to touring cars, GT cars, and lower-level open-wheelers. Hotel and Turn 7 are 2 notable corners due to the fact that they each offer more than 180 degrees of rotation. However, Hotel is the more famous for its tighter, slower version, causing all kinds of headaches on race starts when drivers inevitably slow to a crawl trying to navigate it. The chicane doesn't do much to slow cars down, but it does create a very tricky entry into the long right-hander of 10. Also, Triple does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a 3-apex turn on your way into 7, so precision will be key. The front stretch and back stretch are nice long straights to get the car going, but both create dilemmas with difficult corners for overtaking at the end of them. It's a lot of tightly packed, technical and twisty circuit shoved into a small footprint. But much like the layout, this venue offers a lot for a little with its great racing.
This is a really technical circuit, and when you break it down, it's a track that folds upon itself again and again and again. This is what is known, really, Mike, as a money for space style circuit, where they've crammed as much road as they can in the plot of land they've been given.
Yeah, it certainly is, Jake. 2.2 miles, 3.7 kilometers, and 14 corners for these drivers to negotiate. And as you can see, that first sector is an absolute headache. This track looks difficult on paper, and we don't drive on paper. We drive on tarmac, which makes it even more of a challenge as you head on down into that middle sector as well through the very high-speed chicane. We'll be seeing if those drivers are going to be yielding. These little MX5s are punchy as ever, and I certainly cannot wait.
Well, I can't wait either. This is going to be a track which, when you sit down and look at it, it is going to test all of these drivers, and test is the name of the game for the final 3 rounds of this season before the grand final. Let's talk how this championship looks as we walk into the club championship with the drop rounds not applied. It's a 51-point lead for Christian Bissarov, who has been, simply put, fantastic over the course of these races, with Luis Suarez alongside for company in second. Michael Elliott and Sandavara are third and fourth, with Rene Zegelar fifth, and Tom Weston in 6th position. It's then Pedro Marimon who finds himself 7th, and it's getting really close in and around that top 10, with Thomas Martinez, Lorenz Den Ouden, and Carlos Horn making up that 10th position. Keep an eye on Kari Rantanen's points, who sits just 8 points adrift of Carlos Horn with his efforts that have gone on. The Nations Cup, though, looks a little bit more like a stronger affair, Mike.
It certainly does. Bulgaria currently at the top, but biting at the heels right now is the Netherlands, and we know that that is, of course, just down the road from the track that we're at here today. Brazil coming up strong as well on the podium right now, 33 points off the back of the Netherlands, with Portugal tailing in 4th, Spain bringing up 5th, the United Kingdom in 6th, South Africa in 7th, Finland in 8th, Mexico 9th, and the United States of America rounding out your top 10.
So that just shows them what they've got to do. But as is traditional, we also got to keep an eye on the team standings, as Negative Delta by Bueller's hold that by 48 over the SDC Spirit 14 Racing team. 3 Wide Racing in a very close battle with Positive Delta. They find themselves 3rd and 4th. It's then the Turismo team, who could make some great progress late. They find themselves 5th, with Sweat Sim Racing in 6th. And it's 1P Motorsport, Rosso Esports, SRL, and GTD Racing that find themselves inside that top 10 of the team standings. But let's talk about today and what they have to challenge with today out here, Mike, with their 25 minutes up on the clock.
Certainly is. We're getting down to the wire here when it comes to the championship. We're around 8 of 10, and the drivers are going to be seated, of course, in 2 splits here tonight. We have 2 25-minute races with fixed setups, and spare cars are available in the event of them needing it. And we may or may not be seeing that here tonight, as again, these corners are absolutely violent sometimes.
Oh, they absolutely are. You look at those curbs, they definitely stare back at you around this circuit, but you do have to be aggressive with the Miatas out there, the Mazda MX5s that are being run around this track. You've got to be a very strong driver to hope that this all works. We've currently got no drivers out there on a flying lap. It's one shot, hot shot qualifying out there. They've got 10 minutes to set their time and 1 lap available to them, and everybody has been able to get what they want in that sense sorted out for them in their qualifying efforts. It's a tough circuit to get correct when you talk about how they are having to navigate here, Mike, with the off-track incident points, which aren't something that's going to be big in the race, but in terms of qualifying effort, it's a rather huge affair to deal with.
It certainly will be. These drivers are going to have to be prioritizing heavily to keep it between the mayo and the mustard in order to keep a valid lap time, just to compete with the likes of some of these drivers. And as it stands, Christian Bisserov currently proving why he is the previous champion, topping the time charts right now with a 1:39.4. He did end up taking home a 4th position last week. However, I don't think that's going to be thwarting his efforts. He's immediately responding back. And when I say last week, of course, I mean last month.
Well, by last month, I'm sure you also mean 2 months ago. It has been that month's break that we've had there. There's Eric Kierov there for the Turismo team, who is out there just getting that final practice in with the final 35 seconds available. All of these drivers will be looking at, can we get an extra little bit of practice down on the board so we know what we're doing over 25 minutes worth of racing out here. So this is all about getting it correct. The triple, one of the toughest parts of the circuit to get correct, because you're immediately thrown into the next right-hander out there on track. So you are pretty much dancing on a dime every single time you go through. That, of course, leads over to the chicane, which is such a strong part of the circuit. This is how they will line up around this circuit here at Oschersleben tonight, as it's Christian Bisserov who has the pole position on your Simify starting grid for today's proceedings. Simify is a company that ships worldwide and is the #1 place to get your sim racing equipment and hardware out there. You can get anything from gloves to all of the most amazing up-to-date sim racing content out there and equipment. So you make sure you get your steering wheels and all the like and your motion rigs and your DD boxes and all of that. You can head, of course, to the link down in the description to get yourself your discount here today with us, of course, at the Global SimRacing Channel and the MX5 World Sim Series. Pole for Christian Bisserov has Lorenz Den Ouden alongside for company. Andre Luigi will start from third ahead of Armin Schlermer in fourth position. Thomas Martinez lines up fifth with Martin Schmidt in sixth, with Alvaro Rodriguez seventh and Armanula Bacchus in eighth place. It's then David Balaj in ninth with Kalir Antonin rounding out the top 10.
Moving on to row 6 here, it is going to be Bruno Albino in 11th position alongside Sir Alan Toon in 12th. Next to them on row 7, Mackenzie Mann alongside Arturo Davila, with Eric Quieros not setting a time, and everybody is following suit not setting a time. Yao Schobert in 16th, Carlos Horn in 17th, David Geddes in 18th, Sandovar in 19th, and rounding out the back is Bruno Lisboa.
Yep, so Bruno Lisboa with work to do. You also got likes of Tom Weston, David Mitchell, and Wietse Bertels, who did not set lap times either. 14 out of the 23 able to set a qualifying lap time. That is going to be a cause for concern for some out there. They do, of course, have the 2 minutes to get themselves gridded up. It's a fast start. We're not using the old World Touring Car layout where it's a sharp 90-degree left-hander. We're using the sweeping 1 and 2 into Hotel Corner, the long 270-degree right-hander at times. But there's the green flag, and we get ourselves underway. Bisserov gets a good start, but Lorenz Den Ouden gets just as equally a good one here with 25 minutes on the clock. It's going to be a huge scrap between these two as they head down the opening section. Everyone getting away cleanly as they run through. Bisserov holding the inside line and just about shuts the door, but look at it, wide open as they fan on through. Lorenz Den Ouden has jumped through into the race lead. A crucial jump for him off the start of this race. Andre Luigi giving chase in third.
Christian Bisserov, though, going to be trying to crack back immediately. As you can see, he's not going to be letting go, and behind him, Luigi trying to hold on to the back bumper right now of Bisserov. We also have the Swiss driver, I think, behind them as well. Armin trying to fight for the positions, but under threat from Thomas Martinez. What a absolute showing at the start. It was 4 abreast there into the first corner. All of the drivers seemingly making it out alive.
Well, Bruno Lisboa is the only one who didn't, because he's got the black flag for a jump start. He'll have to jump down into the pits. Sir Alan Toon, they like to call him, for the way he's such a gentleman driver in the work guard car. That's Sandavara making his way through and gaining the place. So last time that you'll see Sandavara this season, Mike, he's got to have an operation on his knee, and that will put him out of contention for any racing in the second half. Car off on the right-hand side is going to be Alvaro Rodriguez, and we got 3 wide here between Quieros, who dives down the inside of Bruno Albino with a bit of contact, and I think you could have slipped Kalir Antonin in, who's all about trying to find a consistent finish.
Yes, is Kalir Antonin. There's a car going very slowly there, and that is going to be the number 11, but we see a look back here at Arturo Davila. He's trying to make a move immediately ahead of him right now.
Where's Bisserov gone?
Brilliant camera angle. Where has Bisserov gone?
I think he's just had a technical issue, and that's going to be 0 for him here today if he's got that. I think Christian Bisserov is out here at Oschersleben, and that is a huge free kick to everybody else then in this field. Den Ouden leads. It's now Andre Luigi second, as Tom Weston now finds himself in a battle here for 15th position, as he now looks to try and sling one down the inside of the organisation. He's past Mackenzie Mann, and that's Kalir Antonin, the man 11th in the championship, finding the guard. He's going to almost have contact with the spinning Mackenzie Mann.
My goodness, and we have side-by-side action immediately ahead of him. Here is our replay as well as we take a look back. This is the number 10 car trying to slide into an overtake, and with enough mid-air time to be served wine on that flight, that is going to be some suspension damage more than likely on the return back to the tarmac. But as we look up to the front here, Lorenz Den Ouden leads as a mechanical failure has bested Christian Bisserov.
Yeah, he will find that it is the internet connection that drops, which says goodbye to that. Den Ouden now driving along the Stadion Gerard, heading over towards the Shell S chicane, the right-left that comes along through, on the brakes, diving through this section. Andre Luigi leading the train behind him of Armin Schlermer with Thomas Martinez, with Martin Schmidt there, Armanula Bacchus having a great start to this race. He's in 7th position doing well, and that's David Balaj in the Castrol car, finding himself a little bit slow, as there goes João Schubert through into position. And watch out on the outside, a lot of drivers having to dive in. I think that's finally going to be the penalty serve. And now here comes Sandavara, and he just, and I mean just, has to give Tom Weston the space. Lisboa in for his penalty.
Yeah, also, I just wanted to shout Carlos Horn out there with a great avoiding action to miss that contact. And we immediately jump back with Tom Weston side by side and some door banging, and that sends the Castrol car a little bit deep there. Tom Weston does find himself securing a position ahead now as we have more cars off, as Alman Bacchus has found themselves off to the side having a picnic, and they do return back to the garage.
Well, Armanula Bacchus, the only thing I can think is that the engine may have gone pop as he went through the opening section, and it did. So Armanula Bacchus had the engine blow up, and that's why he's out. Vice Bertels now trying to find some positions here as he battles Sir Alan Toon. He looks down to the inside and hopes he can find a place, and door-to-door contact is there through the triple, but crucially Vice Bertels gets through. David Mitchell looking around the outside with David Geddes behind him and the recovering Kalle Rantanen. Now they can go as wide as they want in this race, but also there is an unlimited amount of fast repairs, so if they can get damage repaired, they can get back out and charging once more on board with Vice Bertels. He looks behind. There he is, battling pretty much everywhere except for P1, as there's Bruno Albino here in the 3-wide racing car, finding himself in the middle of the pack here. That's Tom Weston and Sandavara making great progress through.
And looking at that car, I can't tell. It does look fairly showroom ready, but I think that front bonnet has had a bit of a clattering. Certainly not the only car out here tonight that has had some contact thus far. That Castrol GTX car, though, looming in the mirror right now, looking for an overtake potentially into the first corner. This, though, being Thomas Martinez as we pop on board into the first chicane, chasing down the 37 right now, sees a bit of a weakness. In fact, Luigi up ahead takes a little bit of an alternate line, runs wide. Is that going to allow the 37 to smell some blood in the water?
Well, that's the question here as Thomas Martinez finds himself there. I think Sandavara has just been turned around out on track, but he's found himself there. Tom Weston running up the back of him there into Hotel, which is the opening section of track on the circuit. So Vara's got work to do all over again out there at this point, but I am liking what's going on second, third and fourth, as Vara now has Vice Bertels to deal with behind, as it becomes the Dutch up against the Belgian right now. The Dutchman just about holding station, driving through the triple. This is such a characteristic circuit in the sense that you just have to hold on for what feels like the first half of the lap before you have a chance to breathe.
Yeah, exactly. The first half is a roller coaster. The second half is a bit of a cruise, but to be honest, it's never really a cruise on this circuit. You can see that's Thomas Martinez weaving every which way, trying to get into the head of Schlomer ahead. Andre Luigi as well, trying to pull away as much as possible. This is that contact with Sandavara that allowed him to go sideways. I think we missed that. And as it seems, the car behind was responsible for that, and very unfortunate for Sander in his very last race here.
Yep, this last race this season, there's not much he can do about it. He's in due tomorrow for his operation, and we wish him well with that as that comes into play. Lorenz Den Ouden, your race leader, by 3 seconds as things stand. Andre Luigi still second, Armin Schlermer third. This is João Schubert in 8th position, and of course the Turismo pig gets very close. I would be making those eyes too if I was Martin Schmidt, just in front in 7th position in the GTD racing car. Here goes the look. Is it left or is it right? It's going to be straight back to the inside for the Hasseröder corner. Straight back down the inside. Gives him a little bit of a love tap for a bit of company. Thank you very much. And through goes João Schubert.
lick the stamp and send it. Martin Smith there really with not much of a response, and immediately Yao's just gonna walk off into the sunset right now and try to pull away, but I'm not sure Martin Smith's gonna allow that to happen. They do need to be aware though, if they keep this battling up, Tom Weston, who's currently up 12 positions by the way, is gonna make himself known in this conversation.
Yeah, he absolutely will, and you look further back as well at David Geddes, for example. He's trying to make some moves out there. He's got Sir Alan Toon for a little bit of company, and he's looking to try and jump on forward, gain an extra place out there. It's been a little bit higgledy-piggledy, so to speak, with how the grid formed, and believe it or not, there's been so much action. We're only just finding ourselves towards 10 minutes into this race. David Geddes now hoping that he's got the angle down on the inside, but Sir Alan Toon throws the car into the corner and he gets it through nicely, but he'll compromise his exits. He runs a little bit wide. The work car looks like it's got a couple of bit of builder's boot to the back of it, a massive dent into the back of his machine, but his Miata holds firm through the final corner.
Yeah, certainly not how the aerodynamicists had drawn it up, but thankfully these MX5s are not necessarily the most keen on their aero. Here we go though, David trying to make a move, and it's gonna be an argy-bargy one at that, and his best Sum 41 impression. Oh, he's not just in too deep, he's spun around, and there's a chicane in the middle of the chicane. There's two chicanes in the chicane, and oh my goodness.
That's what we call a junk up and a half. Vita Bertel's caught out in that as a bystander of Bruno Albino trying to find his way through. Disastrous out there at the moment. And meanwhile, as this has happened, a mistake through the final corner out on track. The Saxon-Anhalt curve for one Mr. Lorenz Den Ouden means it's 5 at the front. Andre Luigi, Armin Schlermer, Thomas Martinez and Eric Hierroth still there. Schlermer now sitting in 3rd position, but you look at how hard they're trying to push. These 5 realise that they've got Den Ouden in their sights, and Andre Luigi has been matching some similar lap times over the course of this run, but some wonderful runs through the chicanes have certainly proven that. We'll take another look here at Vita Bertels and what he had to deal with out on track through the opening section. He drives through the first part. There's the slide, and he's got to commit forward or back. He avoids one. Oh, and then Bruno Albino turns around. That's impossible to avoid.
Oh, that's so gutting. I'm not laughing at him, I'm laughing with him, because he avoided that first contact so perfectly, but then there's a reversing MX5 back into the center of the road, and there was nothing he could have done. Absolutely just so unfortunate. Thankfully, we do have unlimited fast repairs, so the drivers will be allowed to get back out on the circuit, but that is just absolutely gutting for Bertels.
It is really gutting. He was hoping that he was going to have a good run out there, and as such, he falls into troubles. Now, Bisserov effectively out of the race at 2 laps down, trying to get a finish here today. You got Luis Suarez, who's currently not here today racing. No Michael Elliott. Sandavara would be the next one to improve, and he's not having a good day. So the question is, who will improve out there who's looking? And I'm looking at Eric Hierroth as the driver who might sneak his way inside the top 10 here with his performance right now in P4 at this moment, with Thomas Martinez dropping back to 5th. So we focus on David Geddes on his continued pursuit of Sir Alan Toon. So you're looking at drivers who could move inside the top 10 of the championship. Eric Hierroth is the driver who I think is best placed to do so, with maybe Andre Luigi giving chase.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And now one thing to keep in mind, oh, here we go. That's going to be a bit of a mistake from the 37, but these cars all about momentum, and he's able to keep up enough to stay ahead right now. And you can see Eric Hierroth trying to go left when the other car goes right, doing every little opportunity he can to make a move happen. In that slipstream now is going to be looking to the inside. In fact, the door is wide open. He has the run. Going to be looking for the braking zone now off to the right-hand side of the track. Eric Hierroth trying to move up into the podium positions, and he does so in a brilliant manner. Takes P3.
Well, it's the sort of corner hotel, turn 2, out on track where it's very, very easy to run deep. So sometimes you do see drivers brake a little bit earlier to try and enforce that feeling of you've gone a bit too deep, but watch out at the front because Andre Luigi has closed that gap down over this lap already from 0.6 to 0.3 of a second. And Lorenz Den Ouden is feeling a little bit of pressure here with 12.5 minutes to go. Officially halfway through this race, anything still possible as they hit the brakes into the second of the long right-handers, which are killers for the left-hand side tyres as you look to try and get some drive. The chicane is next, and Thomas Martinez trying to get himself involved on Armin Schlermer.
Enter stage right here with Thomas Martinez joining this conversation, and he's going to be trying to make his presence known swiftly. But Lorenz Den Ouden, keep in mind, our previous race winner, if you look back 2 months ago, back to Summit Point, or no, I think Knock Hill it was in race 1, but Lorenz Den Ouden did take that win. Behind him was Mackenzie Mann, but Eric Quieros managed a 4th position here. He wants to best it. Tom Weston, though, he's going for opportunities as well, making moves up into what looks to be 6th position over Carlos Horn.
Yeah, so that's going to be the move that Weston's hoping to make on Zhao Schubert. This would be for 7th, and it's not there. So just enough to hold from Zhao Schubert, with the likes, of course, of Martin Schmidt keeping an eye on this one in the background. It's an important little battle out there because we talk about all these points being important. Zhao Schubert currently in that 20th position in the championship. Tom Weston currently a top 10 holder in the championship. So he's looking at these points thinking, this is going to be perfect. This will get me onto the grid at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca as he has a huge moment going through at Hotel.
That is calculated slip angle, as I like to call it, from Tom Weston, just as he drew it up. No, not really. Whoa, a little bit of a move there as we check back here. This is going to be with Arturo Dalvia down the start-finish straight. He's thinking about making a move to the inside, and you can see that battered and bruised MX5 ahead. Is he going to be close enough? Not too sure. The number 15 thinks about it, but the gap is closing. Yes, let's look up here. Lorenz Den Ouden and Luigi currently are going to be going at it, but right now we are still on board with Arturo.
Well, Arturo Davila doing what he can to find a way around the driver in front of him, David Balaj, who is walking wounded in this race. I did see heading to the chicane, Andre Luigi getting blocked as he went through by the wide-running Lorenz Den Ouden. It's starting to get a little bit more of a crunch time moment out there in this race, and Andre Luigi realizes it's not just him who needs to make the move, it's Eric Quieros who's there just behind too. Quieros, remember, is 4 places better in the championship, and the Turismo cars, I think, are going to multi-14 this at this moment in time. They will allow Eric Quieros the chance to attack Den Ouden. They've given him 1.1.
And Eric Quieros now up 13 positions. He's tied for the biggest gainer in this race tonight. Tom Weston up 13 as well. But Eric Quieros, he has the dog in this fight, and he's going to be trying to bring it to Lorenz Den Ouden, who's shown weaknesses on these previous few laps. Is the traction gone? Is the pressure on? Something isn't quite right for the Dutchman up front.
No, it's not able to break away the same way he did early, and that might be down to the fact that he's been a bit too aggressive out there on his strategy to go with this one. Trying to break it has maybe slided too much on the rear tyres, and this is a circuit that is naturally a tyre cruncher out there. Now, this is Sir Alan Toon, and he's dropped down after the chicane because that's 001. That's Christian Bisserov, the lap traffic, catching his quarter panel through the corner and dumping him off the circuit.
Yeah, that certainly is not what you want to see, to be completely honest, and there might be a penalty being headed that way. We'll certainly have to see after this race. I don't envy the stewards' jobs on that one.
No, I don't envy them either. Sandavara is sat looking for 9th position. That's Martin Schmidt that he's got in front on his second recovery after the massive spin that he was turned around by with Tom Weston, and the SDC Esports driver, the Dutchman living currently in Spain, looking for a way through right now on Schmidt for position, struggling against the GTD car as he rushes through the left-right, or the right-left, sorry, then, of the Shell S chicane, and at the penultimate corner, he takes a tap that wasn't on.
No, it was a little, again, that was hard to call as that camera angle. I'd have to get a second replay of it, but the results are the same. Both cars spun around. The front bonnet is no longer attached on the other car, and Sandavara trying to run away with the limited damage, still in the top 10, but I would imagine Mitchell's is going to be able to find some pace and potentially find that position.
Well, it's all about positioning and finding it. 7:37, a Boeing left in this race. 3 clear at the front of this field. And how long will Eric Kierov make Lorenz Den Ouden wait here at the front through the triple, trying to find an angle at the next right-hander, the long sweeping corner, wider line taken by Kierov. He's trying to diamond off the exit and be more aggressive off of it, and again he attacks well against Den Ouden. Once more he has to lift though into the chicane, and Den Ouden's got so much confidence through there. Kierov catches a slide, and look at that gap just ballooned to 7/10.
It certainly does there, but that slipstream will be in the favor, and Eric Kieros has been confident as ever on the brakes, and he'll be using this opportunity on this straight to gain back up through the Shell S's and into the final corner, potentially to make his strike into that first chicane. That's going to be the goal, and obviously no plan survives first contact, especially with the enemy, and when you're battling with Lorenz Den Ouden, you never know.
No, you never do, and you know how close it is as Thomas Martinez now thinks of fourth in through that final corner of Sachsen-Anhalt, and still can't quite get what he wants. Now onto the front stretch, no DRS here of course, because these are MX5s, and now to the outside he'll have to look. He'll get the inside at Hotel if he can hold it around the outside. This will be brave in the SDC car. He lifts out of it wisely through the opening corner. Martinez has got him covered, but he takes a big wide line, trying to get himself through, and look behind, because suddenly the man on the bubble in the championship for that last spot to the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, Carlos Horn, has joined the group.
Welcome Carlos Horn to this fight. He is going to be hungry as ever and wanting that podium, and it's not far away. Well, maybe the podium is a bit of an effort right now, but P4 is right in front of him, just a sniff away for the time being, but he has to work for it. You can see up ahead Eric Kieros biting at the heels. He's going to be making a move now as well.
Oh, they're going to be 3 wide with the traffic. Now through to the chicane, side by side with 5.5. Oh, they turn over each other's noses. Nowhere to go to Turismo cars. Create Rule 1, and it's huge drama as they now massively junk up. Luigi Bacchus in trouble. So too Eric Kierov. Disaster. Schlermer up to second. Martinez in third. Den Ouden. How has he got away with it?
Absolute calamity with 5 minutes remaining. The two teammates clattering together by no fault of the one. My goodness, the championship. If you have a Yahtzee cup, you might as well throw all the dice in there and just roll it at this point, because who knows where anyone's gonna land.
Everybody is just looking around, and this is a series in the Club Cup that turns on a paradigm every single time. There is no consistency from result to result, and Martinez now is staring down the barrel of a P2, but he can't quite get the angle. Carlos Horn might be able to sidle his way onto the podium here in this one, and lest we forget hard charger points for Tom Weston, for example, who's up 16 places in this race. He'll be certainly happy about that. Now watch this as a breakdown of communication. 2 wide as they go to chicane. It's a one-line suit-saw chicane, very difficult over the curb. You really can't say that Kierov has left that much room on the inside, and trying to go to the outside, expecting the accident to go to the inside. Nothing that you can really do there if you're Andre Luigi. And then Armanula Bacchus sees it finally come across the other way. And again, Mike, nowhere to go.
No, and really nothing Lorenz Den Ouden could have done either, as there was only so much track that the Lorenz could have taken up, and they had already used all of it. And they were entitled to that space, in my opinion, there. And Lorenz fortunately manages to make it out of that contact alive, but the biggest benefiter out of all of this is going to be Schlomer, who has now found themselves in P2.
He certainly has, and Armin Schlermer is now going to have to hold all of this back, because watch out, these drivers are absolutely hungry for that position. They will be at the whimsy of Lorenz Den Ouden for how many laps they've got left. They're doing 1:45, so that's 3.5 minutes for 2 laps, so they will have 2 laps to go at the hands of Den Ouden, who does have that damage to the front right there as they go side by side. Now is the opportunity. Schlermer, can he hold off the charge of finally Thomas Martinez sweeping around the outside. Can he get it slowed up? Because watch out again for the inside. Almost a chance for Schlerman to get it back. No dice, and it's a brilliant move from Thomas Martinez. He's now up to second. Here comes Carlos Horn.
Going the long way around to make that overtake happen as well. Absolute full commitment and full send baseball from Thomas Martinez. And behind now, you can immediately see Schlomer is feeling the pressure from Carlos Horn, the Brazilian driver, putting the move on into the next few corners and going for the inside line. He's going to take it with both hands, run Martinez wide, and Carlos Horn has now set himself on the podium.
Oh, baby, a triple. What a pass made by Carlos Horn to jump onto the podium with 2 laps remaining and now a lap and a half. And I don't think he'll be happy just sitting there and waiting for the opportunity to come to him. I think he'll be aggressive with Thomas Martinez as they now run through the Shell S.
Now, the one thing that I'm not going to be losing my thought process here at all is Tom Weston. Is he going to be joining this conversation now? Is Tom Weston on for a podium as well as the hard charger with currently 16 positions gained? Is he going to make it 18?
Well, is he going to make it 18? And now look at this. What a drive coming out of the Saxon-Anhalt. Here comes the look to the outside. Thomas Martinez trying to desperately drag race on the final lap towards Hotel, and this race on for second, sweeping around the outside. Horn gets it, slowed up on a dive, and almost contact there was between Martinez and Armin Schlermer, who almost demolishes the rear of his car. Schlermer still has a chance of a podium, and lest we not forget that Tom Weston still might have something to say about it. There's your race leader, Lorenz Den Ouden, walking around, wounded on the front, but cleared by 6 over Carlos Horn at the moment, sliding through the triple and feeling like this was a day of destiny that he desperately deserved out there over the course of the racing that he's got. It's still on for that last spot on the podium, and you've got to keep your eyes peeled on everything that goes along through the chicane then, and we're coming into today, 9th in the championship for the Sweat Sim Sport team. You have got to be alert to what everybody can do, because this was a race that quite simply goes down as crazy now as he heads just a handful of corners away from what surely will be a confirmation of place by the time he gets to the end of this one, driving his way through the penultimate corner over to Saxon-Anhalt, and Lorenz Den Ouden from second on the grid had to fend the weight of the world behind him, but he was the one that lifted it all. He stands on the feet of giants and he makes sure he gets what he wants. Carlos Horn will take second, and the last spot on the podium will be in the hands of Thomas Martinez.
A brilliant ending to that fight. Carlos Horn, by the way, 15 positions gained at the end of the day. Not even the winner of the hard charger, with Tom Weston taking that title. 16 positions for him. He managed to end up in 5th at the end of the day. And Armin Schlomer with a 4th position, ending up where he started in qualifying. But what an incredible and what a dramatic race that we have seen here at the Oschersleben.
Oh, we absolutely have, and the last of the drivers will be making their way around. This is Bruno Lisboa trying to get one on David Balazs, who's recovered well to 11th position, mind you, and what has been a very tough race for those drivers out there. Balazs has been down as far as 18th here in this one, and he's been able to find a finish just holding off then the charge of Bruno Lisboa heading towards the end. We are going to get confirmation of results then here on your screen. A dominant display from Lorenz Den Ouden. He had to find all of the defenses in the world, and there's a little bit of controversy, but I wouldn't have said it was his fault after his contact with those a little bit further down. He wins by 6.1 over Carlos Horn, with Thomas Martinez finishing off in 3rd. It's then Armin Schlermer who finishes in 4th ahead of Tom Weston, who will be the hard charger, a gain of 16 today, with João Schubert and Sander Vara 6th and 7th. Vara on his last appearance in the Club Cup this season. David Mitchell will end up 8th ahead on Mackenzie Mann as Kalle Rantanen rallies to a 10th place finish, exactly where he qualified.
Yeah, and behind them coming up in 11th is going to be David Balaz with the likes of Bruno Lisboa coming home in 12th position. A gutting finish for what could have been such a brilliant result. Sir Alan Toon 13th overall with Arturo Davila behind in 14th. Alvaro Rodriguez coming home in 15th with David Geddes in 16th overall. Martin Smith 17th with Vesis Baratols in P18. Bruno Albino in 19th, and rounding out your top 20 is Almana Bacchus.
3 drivers then would fail to find themselves down with what they wanted. Eric Kieroff, who had a chance for the victory. So too did Andre Luigi, and Christian Bisserov will finish the race despite having himself drop with internet connection issues. That puts him down in 22nd for today's run. That is what you call a Club Cup, but we are not done here on this run that we've got going forward, because on the other side of this, we'll be jumping into Division 1 action, and it will be at Phillip Island. Julio?
What?
And a showdown now in the land down under. It is a drafting circuit beyond drafting circuits, and if you want to try and book your place at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, you have got to make the charge here through Phillip Island. This is a track that when you sit down and look at it, it is as plain as day. It is a track full of reducing parabolic corners. When you look at it, it is all about carrying speed. Who is able to keep the throttle pedal down the most is going to be the driver who wins here today. Once more, of course, it's Jake Sperry. Once more, it's Mike Naus, Daniel Costello, and, of course, Dougie Beard. But Phillip Island, a track which pretty much has its name stamped as legendary across the world with its MotoGP antics and what it's done in the Australian motorsport scene. Let's take a look at this circuit and just a tiny bit more detail with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Phillip Island. As the name implies, this track is located on a splotch of land off the south coast of Australia near Melbourne. While there's been plenty of racing here for close to a century, the track's current incarnation has only been around since the late 80s. And this version is a doozy. With only 12 turns spread across the roughly 4.5 kilometers, it's a decently fast circuit. But what really makes this place stand apart is the incredible variety in those few corners. From negative to positive camber, early apexes, late apexes, blind crest, hairpins, sweepers, if you name it, it's probably got it. On top of that, the front stretch tends to offer up a slipstream with its incredible length, but it then forces the drivers into a game of chicken by chucking them into the frightening Buin. Corners like Lukey Heights stretches a car's grip to the limit and then shocks you with a sudden downhill braking into MG. Retaining something of an old-school twist, unlike most modern courses, Phillip Island has earthen embankments running along many parts of the track. While it's meant to keep the cars safely retained within the circuit's confines, anyone unfortunate enough to manage to jump them will be faced with a ton of damage for their troubles. A variety of types of racing take place at the track, including motorcycles, lower-level open-wheelers, and touring cars. Possibly the most well-known among those is the Australian Supercars Championship. With the Aussie reputation of having dangerous, difficult, and challenging circuits, Phillip Island certainly holds up to the standard. The beautiful views of the beach and the ocean may lure some of the fans in, but there's no doubt that the incredible racing at this unique track keeps them around.
This is a circuit that is all about the draft game, and Mike, we are going to see that in an absolute brilliancy here today. You cannot take your eyes off of this track because what it offers these drivers, you will see Doohan Corner is one of the great places to make the moves. You'll see it up into Jungle Jack Miller's corner, turn 4 as well, and maybe even over the top of Lukey Heights. You might see some big lunges down into MG. This is a patience game. This will be a chess game.
Absolutely. Playing chess at, well, not quite 200 miles an hour for these MX5s, but about 100 miles an hour plus. And yes, this track is a really, really fun track at that. It's going to be a slipstream fest. That is one thing that is assured. 2.7 miles, 4.4 kilometers, and 12 corners. Really testing these cars out there in terms of how much commitment they're going to have through these corners time and time again. And over the next 25 minutes, we're going to see exactly who deserves that title.
We absolutely will, and of course you got that run, of course, out Swan Corner onto the Gardner Straight, and what makes that all-important turn 12 corner one of the most important out there as they go through. Now, the championship standings as it pertains to your Simify MX5 World Sim Series is Jaume Dalmases on the top, but in second position it is Adnan Grozdanic. The gap just 10 points between them. Neither of them, though, here today at Phillip Island. An opportunity for Jason Cooper to reel back in some points, and Ade Cobra as well at 91 with a drop round in the back pocket. Nuno Ferreira is 5th at the moment with Jack Veazey 6th, and then you've got Dylan da Costa 7th and Per Sandberg in 8th. And the two 5-star drivers, Lars Fischer and Yuanji Lin, they are 9th and 10th as things stand in the drivers. And we'll take a little look more at the Nations Cup, which seems a little more cut and dry here, Mike.
Yeah, it certainly does. Up at the top, Spain is walking away with this one by 116 points right now. Germany trailing as well, or in second. The United Kingdom, a pretty significant margin to Germany as well, with 198-point deficit to the leader. United States coming up in fourth currently. There is a fighting chance that they can find those points over the UK, and the Netherlands in the fight as well in fifth. France coming up in sixth right now, with Brazil in seventh, Belgium eighth, Portugal ninth, and Bulgaria rounding out your top 10.
Over, of course, then to the Teams Championship, which has been a hotly contested affair over the course of this season, but it has been Five Star Motorsport who have been head and shoulders in this field. They lead by 159 on the MX5 Deep Dive team. Zenith Esports find themselves in third, with SimRace Sweden Esports in fourth, and the SDC Spirit 14 Racing team rounding out the top five. It is then Sweat Sim Racing ahead of the organisation, BB1 Sim Racing, SimTech Racing, and 3G Racing, 953 points adrift. They currently stack up at this stage, but it's relatively going to be exactly the same as what you saw in division number, or in your Club Cup action out there today, of course, Mike. But the big key difference is the setup. They're running advanced.
Yeah, certainly, and I absolutely hope that we have the action that we had over in the Club Cup. If you guys did miss it, I would certainly go back and rewatch that after, of course. We do take a look here at this race at the lovely Phillip Island in the middle of the ocean, and we have a nice 8-minute qualifying ahead of us, Jake.
Cowes Victoria, of course. We are about 2 hours away from Melbourne out there, of course. This is going to be a circuit where all of these drivers are trying to maximize their run out of turn 10, put the power down, and really attack with what they've got. This is a Phillip Island circuit that they look at on paper and think, wow, this is one where I would like a bit of track position. If I'm anywhere inside the front 5 rows of qualifying, I've got a great shot here today of taking what I believe I deserve out there overall. Adekoba currently on a flying lap out there. We focus with those looking to make some progress through, the likes of Alexandre Longo, for example, a drive to keep in mind, and so too will be this man in the number 3 machine, Jason Cooper for 5 Star Motorsport. He was so close last season to picking up the title as he rushes through the Gardner corner. He's hoping for what he wants, but keep an eye out on this driver right now in the number 7, Dylan Da Costa, because he was the fastest driver in practice.
Yeah, and keeping an eye as well, we're talking more about Jason Cooper, how Adnan Grosdanic and Hamad Amasis leading this championship are not out there tonight. This is really his opportunity to set this time chart alight, and if there's ever a race that Jason needs to deliver on, this is the track.
Yeah, Da Costa gearing up for his flying lap then as he looks to try and really maximize this run through 11, which is very easy to have the back snap around if you're not too careful. The long sweeper of turn 12 going at 160 kilometers an hour. You need to be patient on the throttle here. 173, then you can go full bore. It's only the slightest lift in this machinery, in these cool conditions, which Dylan Da Costa looks for. Now he will look to start his flying lap. We will see the first time come in from Ewan Bramer, and do not count out the likes of Niklas Goebel, for example, here today. It's nice to see him back. He's 15th in the championship with a couple drop rounds, and he is someone on any given Sunday who can go and find a time. Stefan Dumas, another one who's looking for some good times. He's currently 10th row at Laguna Seca, so we'll see what he can do. 46.2 by Goebel, currently the time to beat, but El Capitan is up on top, 145.9.
Adekoba back to the top of the chime charts with Goebel very close behind, just the blink of an eye separating them, and Skinner just missing out on P2 as well. Jason Cooper putting in a very respectable lap, 1.1 tenths off of Adekoba. And there is a new pole sitter, David Terron.
David Terron, the 27, needing points from the 5-star car, puts himself on the pole ahead of the Simify Sim Racing driver. A wonderful time in on the board, but watch out for someone like Nuno Ferreira, for example, in the 5. he could certainly throw and ruffle a few feathers out there. Per Sandberg's gone 6th quickest, and Ferreira, well, he can only manage 11th, so he won't be best pleased with that lap time out there. There's some great drivers outside the top 40 who found some times. Michael Chase might be putting his name down as someone who wants a top 40 spot to book himself in. He's 8th.
Yeah, the top 10 separated by less than a second. In fact, the top 11 all separated by less than a second right now. The margins are absolutely cutthroat, and these drivers having to wring the necks of these cars, get every little bit of pace out of them as they go through the high-speed sweeping corners of Phillip Island. Here's Jack Veazey as he comes through the middle complex now, trying to set up for the final few corners. What sort of lap can he manage?
Well, he's 6th in the championship. He sees some very interesting drivers in and around. It should be the 57 for Dan Skinner on his number. He's 5th fastest, and I would say he is a draft track specialist. He got a podium at Monza. You've got the likes of Joel Singleton, who's up there in the 36 car. He's going to make some headway. Lincoln Fox has gone 7th quickest at the moment, but VZ is looking for his charge over towards the line. I don't think that's the time he was hoping for. 46.4 is good out there. It's good enough for the 4th row. He was hoping maybe he could sneak up onto the 3rd row of the grid with that lap time. Couldn't quite find what he was hoping for. You've also got your winner from the Club Cup here, Laurens Den Ouden. We'll see what he can do.
Yeah, as he comes now through the middle sector, I think heading down towards the NG and setting up the very, very last... Oh, that is? Oh, my apologies. Through, yes. As of course... Newer track to me, apologies, as this is the first time I think I've ever commentated, had the pleasure of commentating at Phillip Island. I've watched it plenty of times at MotoGP and through GT Racing, but it's a little different when you're looking at it first perspective, I will say.
It certainly is. Den Ouden now rushing through the hay shed here. Fast right-hander. These cars not producing the most amount of horsepower out there, so they will need the tricks and tools. Up over the crest at Lukey Heights. You're waiting for that crest, and you feel the car get light as you hit the plateau down the hill into MG. He batters the curb on the left-hand side. He's got to be careful about that as he now looks to try and get that swing pivot over through the next left-hander, and then drive becomes important as he now looks to manage what is so important to him. Getting a lap time on the board, the top 14 split by a second at the front with David Terron's 45.8, the best on the board. Then Ouden will make his drive to the line, and it's a 47.194. That will put him 19th fastest, just behind Alexandre Longo out there to put his time. The only other driver is the other Sweat Sim Racing car to find a time here, Mike, and that is Edward Gross.
Yeah, and he's going to be now coming in to set his time and try to get the maximum out here of these MX5s, rounding the long left-hander, which is going to sweep back around. As again, all of these corners very fast-flowing. You're trying to maximize your minimum speed at all times in these high-commitment, high-speed corners. Eduardo Grob here going to be rounding now to the DRS zone. The cars constantly have DRS active as there is no wing on the back of these MX5s. And to the line, what are we going to see here? It looks like it's going to be P18 for Eduardo.
47 flat, jumps Longo and drops down his teammate Den Ouden off of the board. So not what he was ideally hoping for, but it's a good mid-pack start and you can make something happen in this race from there, as all drivers have been able to finish their laps that have started. The only two drivers who didn't get one in were Phillip Scriffignano and Tony Wallace. Scriffignano getting an off-track in the number 11 car, all to do for him in this race. And we'll take a look, of course, when we head ourselves over to the Simify starting grid. Simify is your one-stop shop for all of your sim racing gear. You can choose from iconic brands and you can mix and match those brands for the best way to get your leg up on the competition. Simify is a company that ships worldwide, and they also have two sim racing centers, one in Madrid and one in Barcelona, and they are dedicated to improving your sim racing skills. You can head over to www.simify.com/MX5WSS to have your discount applied automatically on your sim racing purchases today. We will take a look at your starting grid then here from Phillip Island at round 8 of the championship as we head to drop round central. It will be the number 27 Spaniard, David Terron, who will be on the pole position on a 1:45.896. He will have El Capitan Fantastico for company. Ade Coba here, it's an all-Spanish front row on a 45.957. It will then be Jason Cooper in third, along with his 5-star teammate in fourth in Nicholas Goebel. The top 5 is rounded out by Dan Skinner as Joel Singleton has a great qualifying along with him on row 3 in 6th. Row 4 will have Jack Veazey and Lincoln Fox with Dylan da Costa in 9th, and he'll have the driver directly behind him in the championship alongside in Per Sandberg.
And you'd mentioned as we move on to row 6 here, Michael Chase, who has managed a very stellar qualifying up into 11th position with the likes of Matui Camus in 12th. Ivan Bremer rounding out or beginning row 7 with Albert Palahi alongside in 14th. Nuno Ferreira, 15th quickest here with Kalle Cavizzo in 16th. Lauren Sebastian, 17th fastest with Eduardo Grob in 18th. 19th belonging to Alexander Longo and Lawrence Denowden rounding out your top 20.
Over the page then, and it is Patrick Alders in 21st. Nice to see Scott Angelo out there racing on home soil. He goes from 22nd with Charles Kellyman and Stefan Dumas in row 12. Miles Owen starts 25th along with Matt Tempest. Sandavara, his last start officially, will be here from 27th, and Tom Weston in 28th. It's then Mackenzie Mann and Michael Tanagretta who house row 15. Last 5 drivers then here for this one. Ronald Moans will go from 31st along with Martin Schmidt. Melvin Tyne, the last driver to put a time on the board with a 48.9, which is officially 3 seconds off the pace, as Philip Scriffignano and Tony Wallace couldn't get the times that they wanted to. Both of them inside the top 40 as things stand and looking to improve on their points haul. It is downhill for a couple of drivers then on the start, which will give them a slight advantage to those who have to ride a little bit of a crest. Very similar out there to the likes of Interlagos. But lights on, 25 minutes at Phillip Island. Let's get ourselves going as we get ourselves off to racing. It's a very, very nice start off of the front by David Terron. He immediately gets the jump that he wants. Jason Cooper's got Nicholas Goebel for a little bit of company as they will run to the Doohan curve for the first time out here in this race, and they will now look to try and form the packs that proved to be so vital in this one as they rush on through single file as they go through the first 7, 8 drivers, bit of side by side as Lincoln Fox finds himself scrapping it out right now with Dylan da Costa on the outside.
Now on the exit here of the Southern Loop, they're going to be heading back up the hill through Stoner Corner and into the Honda hairpin. This is where some overtaking opportunities can potentially open themselves up. And Nicholas Goebel challenging Jason Cooper right now. And into the lead is looking at Ade Coba. David Terron going to be trying to fight it back, but he is off the circuit. The inside line will turn back into his favor, but is he going to be alongside? Yes, he is. David Terron fending off the championship, but not enough. Ade Coba leads the race at the end of lap 1.
Well, that's a big move by Ade Coba when he's got 3 5-star cars sat down behind, looking for chances to make progress here as they crest up the rise at Lukey Height and hope that they can find what they want. The gap pretty much at the end of this opening lap will be with Per Sandberg, Bremer, Camus, Gross. They're all there. They're all in this group together. No real big breaks in the chain as they run through 11. Look at the chase then that goes along from Da Costa as he looks behind. That's Jack Veazey looking to try and find a way through. Joel Singleton finds himself there. The ever quiet presence of Dan Skinner finds himself then in position, and look out on the front stretch, all the way to the pit wall goes David Terron, looking for a move to the race lead, but watch out through the middle. There was almost a lane for Jason Cooper, and the front 2 block it off. The Spaniard going at it, Ade holding at Doohan.
stellar driving there from Ade Koba, committing to the inside line throughout the entirety of that corner. David Taron really put the challenge on, and as we go through the southern loop once again, Jack Veazey, he was making the looks ahead onto Dylan DaCosta, but right now it's looking like more of a defensive posture as Joel Singleton trying to find his opportunities. But again, heading down to Honda, this is where the opportunities open up.
Lorenz Den Ouden has gone for a pirouette. He's climbed up the banking out there on track. But watch out! Jack Veazey almost taking a tap as he goes through. And there's a spin! A spin for Skinner, who will drop down the field. And he will hope that Superintendent Chalmers will be able to help him back through. He has to wait for the whole field to cycle.
Dylan DaCosta also, I think, got caught up in that collision, but only dropped one position to Jack Veazey. Jack managing to get up there into 5th, and now chasing down Nicholas Goebel. He's up 2 positions.
But look at that gap, 1.2 seconds. They could have just broken the draft there. This is an all-important moment in the race. If they let that front 4 break away, they will not see them for the rest of this race. Right now, it's Taron from Koba, from Cooper, from Goebel, and if they let those front 4 run away in this race, there is no doubt in my mind that Jack Veazey and co are racing for top 5 honours. But watch out, final corner, looking, Jason Cooper, he goes sneaking down the inside of Ade Koba, and he'll get his teammates draft for a boot. But look at the side draft by Ade Koba. It's Koba versus the machine. Taron with the fastest lap, Goebel thinking of the inside, and he's had issues there, almost 3 wide into turn 1. Fantastic stuff. Taron holding that outside line, and the southern loop is so hard to go side by side. He falls back into line. Ade Koba is unleashed.
He certainly is, and Jason Cooper trying to join his teammate Nip and Tuck in the front, but Ade Koba is having absolutely none of that. Nicholas Goebel, we saw, he tried to make it 3 wide into the first corner, but he knew exactly what would happen if he committed to that, and he smartly backed out. Heading back towards Honda, though, we're fully committed into the braking zone. Ade Koba trying to defend right now to the inside, and David Taron, again, a futile look to the out.
Well, he has a big slide on the AstroTurf on the outside, and Ade Koba makes himself comfortable in a place he has done so many times in the Simify MX5 World Sim Series at the front of the field. A former pro stripe back in the Blancpain GT Championship days, back at Iberica Sim Racing. A driver who has done pretty much all you can when it comes to sim racing. He's been part of the 9000 iRacing Club before as well. Cooper up over the crest of the hill, dropping down into MG, and the group now consolidates once more to Michael Chase in 13th. There's big contact in the back. 2 cars go around. Laurent Sebastian is one of them who has gone spearing off, and Patrick Alders is the other.
And rejoining the circuit here safely is going to be Patrick Alders. I'm sure we'll catch a replay of exactly what caused that. This is going to be Kalle Kavitso, though, trying to make a run down into the first corner. You can see he's basically pushing the 17 there of Grob through the final corner and on to the start finish. There's contact in a straight line, and that's going to be David Taron getting punted from Ade Koba. No, the other way around, and that's going to cause chaos here. 3 wide into the first few corners.
They were trying to get the bump draft sorted. They couldn't get out of the way of Ade Koba in time. Koba with lightning reflexes like a cobra was able to get himself sorted. Dylan DaCosta now searching down the inside for a position. Off the road in the background will go Per Sandberg. He'll drop one to Lincoln Fox. He'll drop 2 as he goes through, as Ewan Bremer will find himself a way through. Drama at the highest level of sim racing.
And Michael Chase also joining this conversation in 11th right now, battling with Per Sandberg. As we look at that, they're side by side briefly there, but not going to be finding anything of it. Looking back to the front, David Taron right now, he's managing to find a couple tenths of a gap, but this pack is going nowhere. And Nicholas Goebel has found himself in a very, very good position. 2 positions up from where he started into second. Here is a replay of the carnage.
Oh, well, they try and make the move, but it's just too late from Taron. The bump draft is way too strong. Koba takes out. Look how sideways he is. No driver in the world has any right to save that on the front stretch. Anybody less would be around.
Yeah, that is a milking the cow moment if I've ever seen one for Ade Koba, and they've done that just superlatively. Excellent save, but a very dicey one at that. Now down into 3rd position, trying to recover.
Well, he'll now try and run the gauntlet. He's got Jack Veazey, the 6 car for company out there at the moment. It is a who's who at the front of this field as they chase. It's a 12-car challenge with Palahi in this group. And watch out for this Serpentine. This might not be a case of where do you want to be, but when. Brakes have to be hit there as Koba absolutely swarms his way back to the front. You can't keep him down for long.
No, a 2-for-1 special he managed to find there, and David Terron is going to be side by side with Nicholas Goebel, and they are not going to be letting each other go without a fight. Nicholas Goebel continuing that second position trend, and you can see the likes of Jack Veazey posturing himself there to not allow David Terron in. He's trying to box him out right now and find himself up into 4th.
Well, if they battle like this for too long, they'll allow Cobra away. They've got lap traffic in front who've had to take the faster pair. That is Den Ouden and Sebastian, the 2 Dutchmen that they'll have to get through. But crucially, a bit of respite. Too wide, too deep at Siberia. Veazey, tap, around he goes. Somehow DaCosta avoids it. Carnage now falls behind. Lincoln Fox has his front demolished as he goes through. Somehow Ewan Brehmer's avoided all of it, and Joel Singleton had to go off the road in avoidance, and the group explodes.
One of the drivers that I've been keeping an eye on here and has been benefiting especially from that is Ewan Brehmer, who's up 8 positions currently from where they started in 18th, from where they start currently running in 5th position. Here is Charles Kellyman trying to pick up the carnage as well, and the scraps as there's a car loose ahead of him, and I'm wondering if that's from damage. More contact is ensuing.
Absolutely. Charles Kellyman looking around as he sees there's Edward Gross just in front of him. Veazey, the car behind, who's now going to have to try and run through this group, led by Kavisto here, who had gained quite a few positions out there. But back to the front, it's these two who fight so hard against each other. And you have to remember, they had a massive amount of argy-bargy between each other at Sonoma. Nicholas Goebel through on Ade Koba. How hard are they going to fight when they get that clock striking midnight?
Yeah, that is going to be the question. You can see right now they're not fighting too hard as Ade Koba pretty much handed the position over to Nicholas Goebel, knowing that it was a futile fight and that would only cost them time in the long run. With David Terron, though, running behind, we've seen how eager he can be trying to make these moves, and into Honda, this is where one of your best overtaking opportunities can happen, but not this time around. The number 4 bides its time and waits, but there's a little bit of a wiggle ahead. Has he waited for the right moment? Is this the opportunity that's going to open up? It doesn't seem like this is the lap.
Well, you have to feel that David Terron, if he wants a bit more help, he's got Jason Cooper dangling at a second at this moment, and he is desperate to get himself on, running through the hay shed side by side. Ade Koba's going to have to go the long way at Lukey Heights if he wants to make this happen. Oh, you're at the front of the field, and it's just you guys up there. Nobody else. Don't risk it like that. But Ade doesn't care. He's got the inside for MG, and he'll take the race lead back again. He loves the front.
Yeah, you've heard time is a value and time is of the essence in certain cases, but right now, Ade Koba, this is time to hurry up, it seems, in his mind. He has pulled the trigger very early on in the lap, but what that allows, though, is exactly what we're about to see. Nicholas Goebel, who's going to basically just carry his momentum wide out of the final corner, run down the inside, and he's going to find himself immediately back into the lead. Now, Ade Koba is going to try to challenge this, but look at that. That's David Terron getting shot out of the final corner like a cannon, and he's going to potentially find himself in second, but no, Ade Koba is having absolutely none of that.
So close, front to rear contact. Koba's still got the inside here at the southern loop. He's got to pick the drive off the corner, and he will pinch and pinch and pinch against Nicholas Goebel. But if Goebel's got the inside as they head their way over towards the next section of road, which is turn 3 Casey Stoner, and Jack Miller, turn 4, he's got the inside line where Ade Koba doesn't, and it's 2 other 5-star cars for Ade Koba to deal with. This is impossible odds that he's got when you've got drives of the caliber of Terron and Cooper. Still, he's got the inside at Siberia. Does he know what the word quit is? Has he taken it out of his dictionary? Still side by side to the hay shed. What?
This seems like a bit of a futile effort at the end of the day, but my goodness, is it entertaining for us. Ade Koba has been side by side the entire lap with Niklas Göbel, and he's continuing it, rounding the final few corners. They almost have a hip check. Ade Koba is going to try to slingshot himself out here, the 5-star, not wanting to give the bump draft, but oh my goodness, it's finally been settled. Niklas Göbel says, please give up. I just want a little bit of a breather.
He won't get that. They'll be back on the front stretch again, and they'll do it once more. We'll take another look at the group, how it absolutely imploded. This is Ewan Bremer and what he had to avoid. Contact there with VZ. Contact as they now go across the circuit. Oh, he's so lucky as he took to the grass to escape.
My goodness, at a certain level of talent, luck and skill become indistinguishable, and Bremer, that is the reason that he is up 8 positions right now. He placed his car perfectly.
He did. Your biggest gainer in the field is the Sweden sim race car of Miles Owens. He's up 10. Koba now on the inside, but Göbel again will go to the outside, trying to find a way through. 5-star have got to come up with an answer for Ade Koba, because on his day, he is proving to be such an impossible character. Over halfway, do you allow, if you're Göbel, Jason Cooper, the chance, number 3 in the championship, to start making a move? He's thinking about using that slipstream there. They hit the brakes early, and Cooper gets a seamless pass to now be the driver to go and attack Ade.
Yeah, you thought that this would have been David Taron in this position, but no, it seems that the shoe is on the other foot right now for the 5-star motorsports team, and Jason Cooper has found his element at this Phillip Island circuit, and Ade Koba, he is going to be sweating like a cow in a burger joint right now with the pressure of the world on his shoulders.
And the way it's worked, they've got 3 seconds to Ewan Bremer, and this group right now around the top 10 is getting dicey. You've got Jack Veazey, Dylan DaCosta, Miles Owens, as we said, who's dropped a couple places now. Edouard Gross is there, Cali Cavisto, Charles Kellyman, Sandavara, all there, all looking at how many places they can gain. You've got Ronald Mones, the biggest gainer now. He's up 14 from 31st to 17th. Down the hill they go, and Veazey now is desperate to lead that charge. 3 seconds if he can catch Albert Palahi, and he was 4/10 quicker that last lap by.
Yeah, and with Jason Cooper, by the way, I just wanted to touch on this for a moment, is he's currently sitting in 3rd position in the standings overall, and in terms 31 points off the ball. This is going to be actually, though, hold that thought, as Smith here trying to make a move. He's not going to be able to find it right now, but on that, Jason Cooper, you can see the desperation in his car body language to try to make up the ground as quickly as he can, and I need to see Jason finishing this race in a high up position. And as I say that, thankfully that isn't Jason Cooper. I think that's a back marker.
Yes, Lorenz Den Ouden out of the way as he ran wide through turn 1 and then subsequently ran wide through turn 2. Jason Cooper, when do you want to strike and make that move? Maybe to the inside. He's playing patience here now with Ade Koba. Now, is that going to be a ploy that works for him? Remember, they've got the slipstream of Laurent Sebastian in front. If they clear him, they've got a great chance, but I think the group has got to work, and I think this might be a case of you've got to attack in such a way with Ade Koba here, Mike, that you've got to wait till the last lap to make that move. Otherwise, he'll just attack straight back in Valle Rossi style.
Yeah, Ade Koba has clearly shown that he has absolutely no intention of not leading this race for the entirety of it. He will fight tooth and nail to hold that position, and you can see right here him tapping those brakes ever so slightly to try to rotate the car through the likes of Lukey Heights down into MG to set yourself up for the final corner complex here, and basically start your run into the first corner. That's kind of where this begins right now, is it's all about momentum in these MX5s, and Jason Cooper, he's going to try to capitalize on that now.
He certainly will do. Bremer, by the way, is falling backwards into the clutches of Michael Chase, who's having a career day here at Phillip Island. Here goes the move. The 5-star train is in full locomotion, and straight through to the race lead goes Cooper. Göbel will follow him in suit, but can he get clearance on Ade Koba? He can. Jason Cooper leads.
Yeah, the bump draft playing dividends there for Niklas Göbel. We've seen it not quite work out on some previous laps, but this time around, Adekoba had absolutely no response. He checked to the racing line, didn't have much of an intention of fighting it, considering that he saw the writing on the walls there. Checking back, though, with Dylan DaCosta. He's currently side by side with the number 16 here, battling it out for 11th. That's going to be Owens behind right now, trying to find his position, and up ahead of them is going to be Jack Veazey.
Yeah, and this is the key. You can be a second a lap slower around this circuit, but if you've got slipstream, you can make the moves. Miles Owens forces his way through at Casey Stoner's corner. He runs a little deep in, and Dylan DaCosta gets that straight back. No room to attack for Edward Gross. He's going to have to be patient and try and hope that he's got a way to go and attack this next phase of the race. But DaCosta sitting back, realises he's got it. Oh, it's getting busy back there. Miles Owens getting shuffled out of position with Kellyman through, with Edward Gross finding himself in a little bit of trouble there. The two locking wing mirrors, and I think they even caught wheel rims there, and that's why they dropped the two.
Yeah, there was a little sloppy there just briefly, but what is a little racing without some rubbing in these MX5s? They can take a little bit of contact here and there. In fact, they can take, honestly, quite a bit, to be honest. That's one of the beauties of these cars, is you kind of just turn them in the right direction, punch the throttle, and they go exactly where you want them to go. And these drivers as well, not to mention the fact that these are some of the absolute best drivers in the world, and they're putting it on display for us tonight as we go again, side by side, down into the first corner, 3 wide.
Look at that. Ade knows that if he's at third position, he can give the launch that he wants, but he goes a little bit deep. Göbel is trying to ultimately cut him through. He's going to take a huge look around the outside, trying to get this drive. Can he pinch him? No, he can't. Look at the drive then that comes back from Cooper. He doesn't know whether to stick or twist right now, as he's in the sim racing equivalent of getting 15 on blackjack.
And Göbel there, he had a bit of a wiggle on the back end on the exit of the southern loop. That's what's put him in this compromising position, but he's trying to take that compromising position and put it into an advantageous one. Sends it down to the inside, more of an offensive defensive move, to be honest, but he does defend the position right now from Jason Cooper.
He does, but I think he's looking at that as he wanted to give Adekoba food for thought. The question's going to be, if you continue to find different ways to attack, how many surprises here, Mike, are you going to have for Adekoba on the final lap of the race?
Yeah, that's the problem with Phillip Island, is your overtaking opportunities are very, very limited here, and really being down the start-finish straight with a slipstream and into the Honda corner, those are your most advantageous spots. Other than that, you're really going to have to get your elbows out and work for it. And to be fair, we've seen that already tonight.
We certainly have. We look at Per Sandberg in the number 8 machine as he looks to get the red and gold up into 6th against Michael Chase, who's having a great run out there at the moment. He could be getting exactly what he wants out of this one, and that would be a top 40 place by the time Laguna Seca rolls around. The front of the group continues in file at the moment, and they're trying to get closer and closer. Terron trying to push, and you've got to be so careful through the opening section. It's very easy when you're running in group like this to just miss a shift here or there, and the engine is so fragile here in these MX-5s, it will go kaboom.
Yeah, we've already seen it earlier in the club race with the driver unfortunately over-revving that and setting their 4-cylinder engine, and well, turning into a 3-cylinder and it no longer working. David Terron, though, he knows best. He knows how to pilot these cars, but up ahead of him, his teammate, Jason Cooper. You can see the eagerness in his car body language as he tries to look left, he tries to look right. Every which way is covered off, though, by Niklas Göbel.
It is, because Göbel realizes I'm at the front of this train and I can do what I want. Charles Kellyman, the Jamaican, now trying to look around and see what he's got to deal with. That's Cali Cavisto on his inside. Miles Owens in front of that. You've got Edward Gross now trying to get angle on the optical driver as Sandavara watches with a leg that's probably hurting quite a bit with operation due tomorrow. And now you get that sense that, well, don't do anything crazy with 4 minutes to go. We are heading into 4-minute offense, and these drivers will be gearing up now for red zone attacks.
Don't tell these drivers what to do, because these guys have displayed the fact that crazy is their middle name. At least we saw that in the club race. We've seen it so far with Adekoba and Niklas Göbel having an entire lap side by side. I think this is going to be a crazy finish, Jake.
Well, it's all down to who wants what. Gross here is seeing it with 3.5 left. And there is Adekoba, forced to go to the outside. The train rolls into play once more, and now they form 2 by 2. There's the push then once more from Cooper to Nicholas Goebel, the German. And Goebel once more takes the lead. Cooper shuts the door on Jason Cooper, trying to get a pick on Nicholas Goebel. He makes the room himself. Oh, Houdini couldn't do as good as that. Brilliant stuff as they now head themselves through turn 2, and he'll have a chance on the wrong side of Lady Luck, heading over towards turn 4. This is brilliant stuff at the front.
Right now, though, keep in mind, if Goebel can keep it alongside for long enough, he'll have the optimal line into Honda, and as we go into the braking zone, he will. But the consistency and the commitment from Adekoba has just been second to none. He slingshots himself onto the exit now into Siberia as they go around, heading towards turn 7, continuing what they've done on previous laps, going 2 by 2 the entire time. For lap after lap, Adekoba, can he get it done through the hay shed? He's gonna have to line it up into MG.
Mike, they're just 2 sides of the same coin. They want the same real estate. Heading through Lukey Heights. Oh, how close can you get? Down the hill and into MG, and Goebel gets it.
Oh my goodness, I actually just threw myself back there, and I'm so glad I don't have my green screen up, or that would have collapsed. What amazing racing we are seeing on display in the World MX5 Sim Series here. This is absolutely the round of the championship, if you ask me.
Oh, it's close to the line as well. I think we're going to be at one final lap now. And here goes the chance. Adekoba to the point. Jason Cooper's going to try and find some angle here. Can he make the move? He can. He makes room, but he'll lose a little bit of top-end speed. And Adekoba should have the launch going in towards Dewan Corner. This is big in the context of this one. Adekoba loves racing here from the front. We might see this one as a drag race all the way to the line. It's now Jason Cooper who lines himself up, but will it be the team looking for victory, or will individual aspects now start to change this one? To the inside, heading through Casey Stoner. He sneaks away through. Oh, he is assassin-like the way he can find that pass, but Ade's not going to give this on. He holds on like a rock climber, trying to get this move sorted, and once more he finds his parity restored back at the front of the field. To Siberia they go, and now it's set up. MG will be the corner, it will be the place to get it done, and 3/10 now goes to Adekoba. Jason Cooper's gonna need a push here along to Lukey Heights. He needs all of what he can get and more if he wants to make this one work, because Adekoba has been simply a force that cannot be stopped over the top of Lukey Heights. Tehran is going to be a passenger in this one. He will see what everyone else does. He will see Nicholas Goebel, and he will be desperate to try and help. But Adekoba is 2 corners away. Jason Cooper has been throwing what he can. Nicholas Goebel has been throwing what he can. 5-star have been 5-star, but will they get the finish that they deserve out of the final corner? This is all about drag race, and Ade over to the inside, now hits the serpentine. Is there a push to be there? El Capitan, El Rey, the king, has done it again.
Every question that was asked of Adekoba in this race was emphatically answered, and my goodness, Jason Cooper bringing home a significant haul of points to his name, and a welcome one for the championship. But Adekoba displaying the dominant drive of a century takes the race win. Oh my goodness.
That is what champions are made of, and Adekoba would not be beaten today if you put 100 Jason Coopers and Nicholas Goebels up against him. Absolutely world-class driving. That might be the drive of his sim racing career, and that is not an understatement. What a performance here today at Phillip Island. We have been witness to a clinic on display of drafting driving here around this wonderful, wonderful track. We will get confirmation of result here in the Simify MX5 World Sim Series, and El Capitan is on top form. What a win as he gets it done in 25 minutes and 5 seconds and wins by 800ths of a second. We'll call it 900ths of a second over Jason Cooper, who could not get the launch that he wanted. Nicholas Goebel will take third and David Teron will take fourth. Vital points for third and fourth as they look to make that run. Ewan Bremer will finish fifth and Michael Chase will take an almighty bucket of points with him as he knows those are crucial to get him to the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in 3 months' time in December. Per Sandberg will finish off in 7th with Jack Veazey 8th. Dylan da Costa will finish 9th and the top 10 rounded out by Albert Palahi.
And over on to the second row to 11th position, Miles Owen coming home there in 11th with the likes of Cali Cavizzo behind in 12th. Eduardo Gross coming home behind there in 13th with Charles Kellyman. A valiant push through the field, ending up in 14th. Dan Skinner, 15th here tonight with Matt Tempest behind in P16. Ronald Mones in P17. Phillip Scriffignano, 18th with Mackenzie Mann in 19th. And rounding out your top 20 is Martin Smith.
We'll go over to page 3, where we see Melvin Tyne finishing 21st ahead of Scott Angelo. Mateo Camus will get 23rd ahead of Tom Weston. Tony Wallace making good drive then today in 25th with Patrick Alders and 26th position. Troubles on the final laps for Joel Singleton and Lincoln Fox. The pair of them dropped way down the order. We didn't quite see what happened to Lincoln, but it's 28th with Alexandre Longo 29th and Stefan Dumas, the final driver inside the top 30. Your final 5 are all a lap down or worse in this field, which includes Laurent Sebastian Sandavara, Michael Tannegretta, Lorenz Den Ouden, and 14 laps down a retirement date for Nuno Ferreira, one that he could not afford and effectively has to take now as a drop round heading to his next effort out there in the season. But we just gave that an absolute showcase. Mike, this is what the Simify MX5 World Sim Series is all about. It is the best sim racers in the world that say month in and month out, how high do you want to raise the stakes and how fierce do you want to battle?
That was an absolute clinic of a performance and such an entertaining race. And if I've ever had a race to describe as a knife fight in a phone booth, I think that was the one. These MX5s are so much fun to watch on these circuits. And we're going to catch a look at the highlights in the background. But as they head over to Spa-Francorchamps and Oulton Park next month in October, they've got a lot to live up to for that race. My goodness.
Well, if there's one thing to know, Spa in this machinery is a draft battle and a half. It is going to be more of the same when they head there, and they will know that they'll be dancing the absolute limit of what an MX5 can do. But that has to go down in the pantheon from Ade Koba as, simply put, one of the greatest drives that the world of sim racing has ever seen. You do not take on 3 teammates of a team that have been so dominant in the team's championship like they have, Mike. 2 of which, when you look at Jason Cooper and Nicholas Goebel, who on any given day can win the title outright, and say, no, they're in my back pocket.
Not only do you do that, but you lead lap after lap after lap, and through hard-pressed efforts, side-by-side battles, 2 entire laps of side-by-side action. What more could you ask for in a race?
I don't think you could. I really don't think you could ask for anything more. But then you sit down and you realize that these drivers, this is all jostling. They want grid position at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And when you consider that into the process right now, and all of the drivers who could make that claim, who could stamp themselves and say, I am the best driver in this series, who could go and get what is all important and needed, we are sat on the cusp of something truly magnificent.
Yeah, we certainly are. And as these drivers do get down to the closing wires and get ever closer to the battle on December 22nd at Laguna Seca, we're getting down there and the points are starting to whittle down, and you can even see all of these drivers. The tension is rising. You could cut it with a cricket stump, as Murray Walker once said.
Yep, you absolutely could. We are on the finest of lines, and we are soon about to see what makes this Such an incredible series out there. We do need to talk about Alton as well very quickly when it comes to this one, Mike, for the club series. It was a crazy race, of course, when we saw it earlier on at Oschersleben, but when they've got Alton Park on the horizon, do you think that'll be a little bit easier for those drivers looking to qualify through the Club Cup mentality?
You know, I don't know if easier is the word that I would use. Alton Park in these MX5s, it can be quite a difficult beast, and overtaking is going to be tough. So you mentioned qualifying. I think that's going to be the most important part of Alton Park. These drivers are going to have a smashing qualifying if they want to have a chance of battling for the top.
Well, that smashing qualifying we'll be looking at, of course, in 1 month's time after what was, simply put, some of the best sim racing that the world has to produce. Want to give a massive thanks to those who get it done for us here today, from Mike, from Chris, from Daniel. We'll give Christian a bit of love as well, and from Dougie on top of that. You can catch all of what makes the Global Sim Racing Channel so special by keeping an eye out on all of the equipment and also our software that we use, including the music by June Lalonde. You can catch her stuff on Bandcamp if you haven't already. If you are brand new, of course, and you've seen the Simify MX5 World Sim Series for the first time, you can get some merch over at Simify. You can use the link in the description to get yourself there. You can see what is coming up with us on the Global Sim Racing Channel. That's scrolling across your screen. Mark it down in your calendar. Watch us on our socials. Go to our website. Buy some merch from our merch store. That will be great. You simply put cannot keep a driver who is hell-bent on victory down like Ade Koba. El Capitan, El Rey, the king, has found himself on his throne, and now he looks down at his denizens. He says, you know what? Jason Cooper, Nicholas Goebel, David Teron, you can't stop me. Watch me when Spa comes around in a month's time. Race clean, race hard. We'll see you at Alton Park. We will see you in the Belgian Ardennes.
Yeah.